What's up, my friends? In this video, I get asked this a lot. How do you start a band? And all questions that come with that question. I'm just gonna take like 10 minutes or something to just discuss this kind of thing and offer as much advice as I can. And hopefully there's some value in this video for you guys that are wanting to start bands, or you have started a band but you're not quite sure what to do. So I got my coffee, and it's a beautiful day, so I'm outside and just enjoying this weather. Let's just get right into this, huh? Okay, so this video isn't going to be applicable for everybody because I believe that each situation is a little bit different, and everyone has some different circumstance that means they need to do something differently than somebody else just based on their circumstance or their current position. So this isn't going to answer everybody's specific questions on how to start a band. This is just going to be a couple minutes of just general advice that hopefully it registers with you and it starts making you think. And others, this is going to be perfect and exactly what you need, but I'm just here to try and help you guys. And so step one. Before I get into this though, I can only really talk on my experience because I am not at the top. I am not a successful musician. I am not somebody in a huge band. So they say that you should learn from people that have made it, and so you know that the information you get is as correct as possible. But at the same time, I know that there's probably a lot of you guys that are like, well, how do I even get my band to be where Villain of the Story is at? And we're not a huge band, but we're making our way. I remember exactly what it was like to just be at the very beginning and not know anything. How do you even get started? How do you get past that like local scene where you're not like, you just feel stuck because you're not growing, you're not getting anywhere. So I'm not saying everything that I say is perfect and what you need to be doing, but I can just talk off of my experience, and if any of it is helpful or valuable to you, run with it. That being said, this is just my advice and what we did. Step one, write 2 songs. What I did was I was lucky enough that I had parents that support my dream of being a musician. So back when I was I think I was 14 or 15, for Christmas, they got me a studio setup where it was like a pretty basic computer and just a 8-channel interface and a couple of speakers and the studio software called Studio One. Obviously, over time, I've invested my own money and gotten better equipment and everything like that, but I was fortunate enough to have them start me off. If you don't have that, it's just remember, all of this comes down to you. If you want to make it as a musician, it's up to you to make it happen. So we all have different circumstances that are holding us back, or there's an excuse as to why we can't try or whatever, but you have to do what you know you're meant to do. So if being in a band or a musician is what you want to do, and you believe it's your calling, you can't stop thinking about it, you can't stop daydreaming or envisioning it, and it's like when you think about you on stage doing your thing, if it brings you the happiness just thinking about it, it's probably what you need to be doing. And that's all I did when I was in school, because I wasn't in a big band or anything, and I was in a small town and people didn't really listen to metal. There was the little groups of people that did, but people really didn't listen to breakdowns and screaming and stuff. I just know I always felt amazing whenever I thought about me doing it one day. So I just held on to that through all the times where I felt like I'm just at the beginning. Everyone else is so much farther along than me. What's the point of trying? Can't have that mentality. You have to keep going. So I guess having the right mindset is step one. Know what you're getting into. This is going to be so hard. It's going to be very difficult, but it doesn't need to be as difficult as you think. Once you have enough knowledge and the right mindset on everything, it becomes a lot easier. And it doesn't mean it's easy and it's going to happen overnight, but it's not as difficult and hopeless as you think. Because here's the thing. You don't need a bunch of, you don't need to be huge to make it your career. You don't need to be massive to make a living off of this. And again, I'm not there yet, so I can't confidently say that everything I'm doing is perfect, but I'm seeing the progression, and we're definitely going the way we need to be going, because we're seeing bigger and better results with everything that we do. So I'm just speaking on that. I'm outside, and I don't have like a professional mic connected to my camera, so hopefully the wind and everything out here isn't like... So I guess I'll check this when I go to edit this later. So step one is the mindset. Know what you're getting into. It's gonna be hard, and there's gonna be days that you feel like giving up, but after all the money, energy, and time that you put into this, you can't give up. So mindset, step one. Step two is, so that's before writing the song, but step two would be writing the songs. And if you don't know how to write a song, you need to learn how to write a song. And again, this is where it kind of comes down to your position. Like, are you going to be a vocalist? Are you going to be a drummer? Are you going to be a guitar player? Like, whatever you're doing, it's going to be a little bit different for you. So for me, I started out playing guitar. So I liked playing songs on guitar, and I wasn't originally a vocalist. So what I would do was I would learn songs from the bands that I wanted to kind of sound like, because you don't want to sound like somebody or strive to sound like somebody, but you have to start somewhere. And basically what I did was I would learn a couple songs on guitar, so I knew what frets they were playing, what notes went where, what chord progression they used to make it sound that way, so I could start getting familiar with how to do it. Because if I know how to play it, I can just reverse engineer and reconstruct my own version of it, you know? I learned a couple songs on guitar, figured out what they were playing, and then I just tried writing. Like, I just came up with like a simple pattern, like a breakdown, and then I'm like, okay, well, open like a 0, 8th fret, 3rd fret, you know, that was kind of like a melodic, darker chord progression that a lot of bands use. And I was like, okay, let me change the strum pattern and drum pattern to make it fit to be my thing. I bought a drum program. I use StevenSlate Drums. This is not endorsed. I don't have an affiliate link or anything, but there's DrumForge and a bunch of other drum programs. But I bought a drum program. It was like $100, and I just learned how to use it. It's through MIDI, to where basically you add a MIDI channel in your studio, and then this piano grid comes up, and then like the kick drum is this piano note, and the snare drum is this piano note, and on the grid you just create a note here, create a note here, create a note here, and then you have... So I learned how to create drums with a program, and at first I wasn't very good at it, so it was very, very basic drums. It wasn't anything flashy, it was just simple stuff. But I just wrote a song, and there were no lyrics or anything to it, and it really wasn't that great. That's the thing, it wasn't good, but at least it was like a 3.5, 4 minute, it was a done song, as best as I could at the time. I went to a producer who recorded it for us. I mean, we recorded it, but he tracked it, or I tracked it. You get what I'm trying to say. We went into the studio with him, and while we were recording, he was like, I don't like this. Nope, this isn't good. Let's change it to this, because this flows better. This sounds better. And then when it got time to writing the melody, my brother, he came up with the singing, but he would come up with the melody, and the producer's like, nope, instead of going, go, changed little things here and there until we had this done song, and it sounded so sick. So that'd be my biggest advice for that, is just take the time, because it's a long-term game, not short-term. Take the time and be patient, learn how to write a song. I would suggest getting studio gear, because it just makes it easier, but if you can't get studio gear, use your phone or something just to like audio record you playing something. And it, like, that's what I mean. Like, there's a different situation for everybody, and I could go on and on about all the different areas, but this video would be like 4 hours long. Basically, write a song, even if it's not good, go to a producer and record it professionally, and have them help you make it better. And here's the thing, you might need to pay for that. Like, if you work with somebody for co-writing, you give them your song, and they go, okay, and they go through and rewrite a lot of stuff and send it back to you, and you go, this is amazing, I want this as my band song. You might need to pay a couple $100 for it, because they wrote it, so they deserve the money. But And that also comes down to your opinion on the band has to write 100% of it, but the reality is having a third eye or ear on your music makes it so much better because you're too attached. You're always close to your project. Having that extra ear can add so many things that you never would have thought of, and vice versa. You just work with each other until you find the product and go, this is exactly what I want it to sound like. So, yeah, I should have just written down the notes, but I'm just going off memory here. Step 1, mindset. Step 2, write a song even if it's not very good. Step 3, record it with somebody and work with them to make it sound better. And then you could write another song, so you have 2, because 2 is better than 1. It's really hard to go out to somebody and be like, hey, I want to start this band with you, a hardcore band. Sounds like this band and this band and this band or whatever. And they go, yeah. But if you come to them with a song that's not necessarily mixed and mastered and done, but it's at least kind of done. If you go to them with that song and be like, yo, let me show you this. This is the song that I wrote, or this is the song that me and the other member wrote, or me and the producer wrote, or me and the co-writer wrote. This is what I want it to sound like. This is what it's going to sound like. Are you interested in playing this kind of stuff? Now they can actually hear exactly what you're trying to do and make the decision. Because you don't always want to start a band with friends just because they're your friends. Sometimes when it comes to the writing, you guys are on completely different playing fields with where you want the music to go, and you don't want member changes all the time. So you just want to kind of use the songs that you wrote with whoever to go out there and try and find musicians. And this is the hard part for a lot of people, is finding the musicians. I know in Minnesota, where I'm from, we have this thing called Minnesota Music. It's a group on Facebook that musicians join to talk gear and music and all that stuff. And what I did, because at the time it was my brother, he was the bassist singer at the time, now he's just the singer. I was the screamer, and we had a guitar player, Cody, and that's only because when the band started, the guy who came to me and be like, yo, I want to manage a band. I'm forming a band. You be the vocalist, your brother be a singer bassist. We have this guy Cody who's interested. That was the only reason why we had Cody. But we didn't have a drummer. So I went through that group and I found everybody that had drummer at whatever band listed in their profile, even if they're already in a band, and I messaged them. And I took 30 seconds of both. We did 2 songs. I did 30 seconds of both songs, mashed it together to be a 1-minute clip. There's a lot of wind happening right now. Hopefully it sounds good on the audio end. What I did was went and messaged every single person that had drummer listed on their profile. First off, I went to their page, saw what bands they had liked on Facebook to see if they even like this kind of music, and if they remotely did, I would just send them a message like, hey, I'm Christian and I'm trying to find a drummer for my band. Here's kind of what we sound like. If you're interested, hit me back. And I would say I hit up 100 people. Probably 20 people actually responded. And out of there, most of them were like, no, I'm already in a band, not interested. Or, oh, sounds cool, but just not interested. But then there were a couple people that were interested. But one person, Sam, or it was actually, his name was Paige. And Paige was like, hey, I'm already in a band, I'm not interested, but I do have a friend that's really good at drums that would be interested. Let me connect you guys. So we connected with him, and then we were like, hey, here's a couple songs. I think it was in A Day to Remember song or something. Well, here's our 2 songs. Learn these songs on your instrument, and then let's learn this cover song together. He came out, we all got together, we practiced, and it felt right. It ended up not being right later down the road, but that's how we kind of got our first drummer. And we didn't announce anything, we didn't have music out or anything, we never played a show, we didn't even have a name, anything like that. We weren't ready. We were just trying to find members. So what I would suggest for you is once you have a song or 2 songs and have a 1-minute clip of both, go and search on Facebook for groups like that in your area. Or if you know any local bands that are already around, just ask them. Obviously, you don't want to just hit up their Facebook page and be like, hey guys, I don't know you, but do you know anybody that would be interested in drums? You have to kind of build a relationship with them. You have to get creative, and you have to think, that there has to be somebody else that's remotely close that would be interested. Even though right now we have a drummer that lives out of state, so I can talk about that in a little bit, but go to a local show, watch the local bands, and if there's somebody that plays the position that is open in your band, go up to them after the show if you thought they did really well and be like, dude, you were really, really good. And then start forming a relationship with them, and then later ask them, hey, I'm just curious. Here's a song. We're looking for a guitar player, drummer, whatever. Would you be interested in trying this out with us? I can't really speak on the finding members ways just because I haven't had to personally go through that, other than messaging 100 people that had drums listed in their profiles from Minnesota. That's what I did. That's the thing. In this day and age, you don't need 2 guitar players. If you want 2 guitar players, go for it. But as long as you can get 1 vocalist, 1 drummer, 1 guitar player, 1 bassist, or even if the vocalist plays guitar too, just find the lineup that works for you guys, because we never got a second guitar player. We were just 1 guitar band. And so here's where I can start getting in more detail, because once you do have a couple songs, have a band lineup ready to go, that's like the groundwork, is getting a couple songs and the members formed. That's going to take the longest part. But when you do have everything ready, here's my advice. Find a photographer and take really good looking promos. Pay them well. It might be $100, it might be $80, it might be $50, it might be $150. Just find a photographer that you really like their work and get really good looking promos. You're going to want to shoot a music video. Now, you can either do what we did, which I wouldn't recommend, but we went to a high-end video producer and he was like $3,200, like over $3,000 for the music video. But it was an amazing music video, and it totally set us off in the right direction by having a video that was so much bigger than every other band around us. That's why we got so much attention right away, because it was like, wow, these guys, that was like insane. Whether they liked the song or not, but like the video looked amazing, and it set us apart from everyone else around us that was trying to do the same thing, because we wanted to just go hard. That doesn't mean you need to spend $3,000 on a music video. You can find people that will do it for $1,000 or less, but if they are good and you like their style, then go with them, because you definitely want a music video for your very first song. Once you have promos, a music video, and a logo, make social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, for sure. Those 4. Those are the main 4. What you're gonna want to do is, there's a couple ways you can do this. I'll just kind of go through one option and then go through another option, Is option 1, you can announce your social media page with all of your accounts with a promo, be like, or a logo, and be like, this is who we are. And then on your personal accounts, share it with all your friends and be like, hey, we're going to be doing this. If you have a clip of the song, post a clip, and then that way they can at least kind of hear it, because you don't want a bunch of people liking your page if they don't even like your music, because then it just dilutes your reach to where, oh, we have 100 people that like our page, but only 2 people are liking our post, because only a couple people actually like that kind of music. So you don't want to just like invite all of your friends on Facebook to like your page so that you have a bunch of likes. It doesn't matter. It's the engagement that matters. Another thing you can do is just out of the gate, boom, post the full video to Facebook, and then post clips to Instagram and Twitter that promote the YouTube link. But on Facebook, upload the full video, and that's like your first post, like, here's who we are, check it out. Or you could just announce your stuff and be like your logo or your promo or something, be like, this is who we are, and then a release date. On this day is when we're coming out with something to build hype. I don't really think there's a better way out of all 3 of them. It's kind of just whatever you want to do. I guess my suggestion would be just coming out of the gate with your first song so people immediately can know who you are. What you're going to want to do, and this is where it gets into like the super detailed stuff, because there's so much that goes into the marketing, and I don't know how long I want this video to be. I don't want it to be too long, but this is where I guess I can kind of plug that if you want to sit down with me and go step by step, detail by detail on how you should release it, how should you word it, when should you post it, like what time of day, what day of the week, if you post this day, what should your next post be? Because you got to be really strategic with your content and what it looks like, because you want all your content to be as good looking and professional as possible. But that also comes down to what kind of image do you want for your band? Do you want more of a fun, lighthearted thing? Well, then here's how you should do it. If you want to be a serious band, then here's how you should do it. Do you want to be somewhere in the middle where you don't take yourself seriously? You take your band seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously, so you have some fun stuff. That's what my band does. It's like we professionally post, but then we also throw in the kind of more lighthearted fun stuff that doesn't look as good, but it's just for fun. Then this is how you should do it. There's different ways to do it depending on what personality you want your band to portray. So I can't really go into the details there, but if you wanted to sit down with me one-on-one and talk about that stuff, my email is in the description. I do offer consulting calls for this kind of thing. I do charge money. If you want to know more, just go there. I'm not going to go into that here. But basically, have your song out, and then you want to advertise it on Facebook, which I'm going to make a video that goes into the details of Facebook advertising. And again, if you just want to know that right now, we can set up a consulting call and I can show you that stuff. But there's a lot of free stuff on the internet that I suggest you to go look up, Facebook ads. But have your song out, advertise it, just try and grow off of that. And then your second song come out maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, release it, but you're going to want to kind of tease that one a little bit to build hype, to where you can post a still image from the music video, or you can post another different promo of you guys and be like, hey guys, we have a new song coming out on this day in like a week or something. And then that following week, post the whole thing and advertise that one. But the thing is, with that second song, I would suggest having a 6-song EP, because that way you can release 2 songs and then there's still 4 new ones on your EP, 4 new songs for the EP. So you can release your first song without being completely done, but at least have your first 2 songs done, mixed, mastered. But then while you're promoting your first one, you're recording and mixing and mastering your other 4, writing your other 4, all that stuff. You don't need to be 100% done with your music at first. If you want to, just so you're prepared, do it, but you don't have to. So then with your second song, announce the release date of your EP and make that like 4 weeks from that day. So you have song 1, 3 or 4 weeks later, you release your second song, with the release date of your EP being another 4 or 5 weeks later from that date. To where you start advertising the second one, but then that one also is pushing your EP release. And for my advice, this is something I didn't do with my band that I wish I would have, is when you do advertise on Facebook, you don't need to reach everybody, not at the beginning, because you want to build a local following first. Advertise the target audience that is best suited to like your stuff, but make sure it's like in your state and maybe 50 miles into the next state if you're close to a border or something. Just make it more local, to where on your release day for your EP, I would book a show and play a show for your release and see how many people you can pull. Because that's a good way and a good indicator of where you're at and how well you're doing with marketing. Because if you can be a brand new band and no one knows who you are, and then through advertising and releasing your couple songs, if you can get 30, 50 people at your release show, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. I would suggest for your first show and your release show, if you want to play other shows, you can, but make sure you're only playing at max at the beginning 2 shows a month. At max, you don't want to oversaturate your market by playing all the time. So maybe 1 or 2 shows just to get practice under your belt. But for your release show, you don't necessarily need to headline and be the main act, but talk around to other bands and see if you can get on their shows. And when you do get on their shows, just if there's one around the day of your EP release, just advertise that as your release show. Obviously, it's the headlining band's show, but just say like, hey, our EP release show is this day with this band or whatever. But when you have your release show, you're gonna want merch, and I would only suggest doing like maybe a quantity of 25 t-shirts and doing one shirt. The thing is, it costs money to create merch, and since you're at the very beginning, it's kind of risky to invest a bunch of money into merch when you don't know how much you're gonna sell. So I would almost just say maybe 2 t-shirts, 25 quantity each. That kind of leads me, I forgot about this part, but when you do announce your EP, have pre-orders, pre-order packages where there's, bundle 1 is just the CD, bundle like a physical CD that's signed. Bundle 2 is a t-shirt and a CD. Bundle 3 is a different t-shirt and a CD. And bundle 4 could be both t-shirts and the CD and a poster or something. I feel like I'm kind of talking out of order, so I apologize for that. I mean, I am going to get better at doing these kinds of videos to where it's as easy to understand, so I apologize if I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm learning how to talk on camera and get more comfortable with that. So when it comes to selling merchandise on the internet, there's a couple ways you can do that. For pre-order bundles, what I would do is you have your designs and your images that have like the t-shirt and the CD together. My band, we use Big Cartel as our host site for our store, but you could use Shopify, you could use Bandcamp. There's plenty of other online e-commerce stores, but with Big Cartel, basically we charge this much for the pre-order, and when someone sends us the money, we just write down their order, so we track it, and then say the EP comes out on this day, like 2 weeks prior. Sorry, there's a truck driving by. Like 2 weeks prior to the release, or 3 weeks prior, honestly, because you want to make sure that your fans get their pre-order packages in time, and you want to budget at least like 2 weeks of production time, and then it's going to take 3 to 5 days for you to ship out the merch to your fans. So say you announce your song on this day, and your second song, and the album comes out 5 weeks from now. So over the next 2 weeks, you offer the physical pre-order bundles, and then you have a cutoff day to where anyone that pre-orders that, you have all that money, and then on that last day, when it's done, you go to a merch producer, manufacturer, and you go, yo, I need a design of like this design on a black shirt. Here's all the quantities that whatever your fans ordered. You want to get that amount. So you're not overspending or underspending or whatever. But then when they ship the merch to you, then you look at your orders and you go ship out the merch to all of them. My camera's gonna die, battery's dead, memory card's almost out, so I'm gonna wrap this up for you guys. Song 1, Song 2 with an EP release your EP and have a shirt or 2 at the show, and just start building your local following by using Facebook ads and targeting locally and making sure that you're targeting properly too. I'll get into more detail on that later. Again, if you want to sit down one-on-one and do a consulting call for your band to figure out exactly what you could be doing and how I can help you guys specifically, because like I said, it's a little bit different for everybody, just let me know. Hopefully this video had some ideas for you guys to start using today. Just let me know if you thought it was valuable. Every Monday I'm going to be dropping a video that talks about music business, and so let me know what things about being in a band that you want to learn, and I'll make sure to make a video on that. So thank you guys.